never changed at the place Ted Williams called home. Boston's mission remains the same, take over the East. We'll see what the Motor City boys have to say about that. The Red Sox and Tigers at Fenway next on Fox.
It's a beautiful afternoon in Boston as Fox Sports welcomes you to Fenway Park for the second of a three-game series between the Red Sox and the Tigers. It has been an emotional 24 hours in Boston as the city remembers the greatest hitter who ever lived. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball. I'm Kenny Albert, along with Jerry Remy. And Jerry, following a moving pregame ceremony last night, the Detroit Tigers went out and put an end to the Red Sox 5-game winning streak. But today, the Red Sox send Pedro Martinez to the mound.
Every time Pedro Martinez takes the mound for the Red Sox Nation has their fingers crossed, because he is the guy that's going to take them wherever they're going to go this season, whether it be the playoffs or the World Series. He's had some great starts. He's had some so-so starts. But overall, things very good for Pedro in the first half. Fourth in the league right now, the 2.85 ERA. He leads the American League in strikeouts ahead of Roger Clemens. And coming off a very strong performance last time out against Toronto, where he had 14 strikeouts, a season high, and a lot of those strikeouts with curveballs.
And on the other side, the Detroit Tigers late last night traded their ace, Jeff Weaver, who was scheduled to start this game. Weaver is now a New York Yankee.
And that doesn't make people in Boston very happy that Weaver goes to the Yankees. But with Dave Dombrowski taking over this organization last winter, he's going to make a number of changes, start from the bottom up. It's one of the great franchises in history, and they have struggled over the last couple of years, making a lot of moves. And the first big move they make is trading Jeff Weaver.
So instead of Martinez and Weaver, it will be Pedro against 24-year-old left-hander Mike Maroth, who beat Curt Schilling for his only Major League win so far. Martinez and Maroth, the pitching matchup. First pitch coming up, but first we reflect back on the life of the splendid Splinter.
Hall of Famer, baseball legend, Ted Williams.
The drive to deep right center. This may be gone. Brad way back there watching. Home run, Ted Williams.
Now the time has come.
It's summer. Time to buy a Honda. Because right now you can ride off with any new Honda for $29 a month for the first 6 months. That's any Honda, $29 a month, just in time for summer. Plus, you can get up to $600 in bonus bucks on select models. Imagine any Honda for $29 a month.
Now the time has come.
See why this summer is red hot at your Honda dealer before time runs out.
Jesse and I have built a lifetime together. We're each other's whole world. You just never know what high cholesterol and heart disease really mean until someone you love has a heart attack. You see, diet and exercise didn't lower his cholesterol enough. So as he was recovering, we asked the doctor about adding Zocor.
Zocor is a prescription medicine and is not for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems.
Our doctor told us Zocor, along with diet, could significantly lower his cholesterol.
And it's working.
And Zocor is proven to reduce the risk of a heart attack in people with high cholesterol and heart disease.
Because serious side effects can result, tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience and about any medicines you are taking.
Oh, Jesse.
I know. I love you too.
Ask your doctor about Zocor. It's your future. Be there.
Let's stay together.
The rules have changed. Now there is no up or down. Introducing Mach 3 Turbo. Total comfort whether you shave down or up. A new anti-friction coating on all 3 blades. Plus a new strip releases even more lubrication. So even against the grain, you get less irritation and the closest shave. It's turning the shaving world upside down. The revolutionary new Mach 3 Turbo. From Gillette, the best a man can get.
Fastlane, Fox Ball.
Kenny Albert, Jerry Remy back at Fenway. Second of a 3-game weekend series. Tigers won last night's game 9-5 as the Red Sox committed a season-high 3 errors. Fans continue to remember the all-time greatest Red Sox, Ted Williams, who passed away yesterday morning in Florida. Moving pre-game ceremony prior to last night's game. And you see the number 9 in the left field grass. Flag it half staff out in center field. The Detroit Tigers last place in the American League Central. Tigers batting order brought to you by Napa. George Lombard leads off, the left fielder, followed by second baseman Damian Easley. Right fielder Robert Fick, the Tigers' lone all-star, bats third. Shane Halter in the cleanup spot. Then center fielder Wendell McGee. First baseman Craig Paquette bats sixth. Bottom of the order, catcher Brandon Inge. Designated hitter Damian Jackson. And shortstop Ramon Santiago. As the Tigers face 30-year-old right-hander Pedro Martinez for the second time this season.
2.85 ERA for Pedro is fourth best in the American League. The 133 strikeouts leads Roger Clemens for number 1 in the American League. He is currently on a 3-game winning streak. Wins against San Diego, Cleveland, and Toronto. And that last time out, 14 strikeouts, a season high for Pedro. He will throw any pitch at any time. And of course, velocity always the key for Pedro.
George Lombard takes a called strike from the home plate umpire, crew chief Mike Riley. Jeff Kellogg working first base. Jim Wolf out at second. Eric Cooper, the third base umpire. Lombard quickly behind, 0-2. Pedro, a no decision in Detroit back in early June when 6 innings allowed 4 runs on 7 hits, left with the lead, but the Tigers came back to win the game 7-6. 2-0 lifetime in 5 starts against Detroit. The 0-2 to Lombard, missing on the outside corner. 1-2.
Should be an interesting start for Pedro. Last time he faced the Tigers, only 4 strikeouts. They don't walk very much, and they generally swing early in the count.
Tigers have walked fewer times than any other team in the major leagues. A 1-2. Lombard got a piece of it. Lombard playing in his 14th game with the Tigers. Came over in a trade from the Atlanta Braves back on June 19th. Has 9 hits in his last 17 at-bats. 2 for 5 last night. Fly ball right field. Trot Nixon backtracking. 1 away. As we mentioned, the Red Sox committed a season-high 3 errors last night, but they are tied for third defensively in the American League. Jason Varitek, outstanding year behind the plate. Offerman, Maloney, Garcia Parra, and Hillenbrand around the infield. Manny Ramirez, Johnny Damon, and Trot Nixon from left to right in the outfield. 1 away, here's Damian Easley. Beautiful curve is in for a called strike. As you mentioned during the open, Jerry, Martinez 14 strikeouts in his last start. 10 or 11 strikeouts. Strike 3, the curveball.
He had some trouble against Toronto in the past, so he used a different approach last time against the Blue Jays, and probably the best curveball that he has featured all season long. And I would guess you're right, Kenny, somewhere between a 10 and 11 of those 14 strikeouts coming with the curveball.
Fastball, Easley falls behind 1-2. Damian Easley struggling this year, batting under 200, but he has had great success in his career against Pedro Martinez, batting .385 with a pair of home runs. Just missing low and away, 2-2.
Talked a little bit about expect any pitch at any time from Pedro. He's not afraid to go back-to-back changeups, especially against right-handed hitters, which is very unusual.
The 2-2 to Easley. Easley stays alive with Robert Fick waiting on deck.
Good example right there, back-to-back strikeouts.
Easley 5 for 13 lifetime against Pedro. Easley will head down to first. Third time he has been hit by a pitch this season. So the Tigers have their first base runner of the game.
After back-to-back changeups inside with the fastball and right off the hand or wrist of Damian Easley. Pedro always among the league leaders as far as hitting batters, and that is the case again this year. Take a look at the last outing for Pedro against the Toronto Blue Jays. We talked about his curveball being his best pitch in that game. And we'll take a look at some of the strikeouts for Pedro against the Blue Jays, who had given him some trouble so far this season. Vernon Wells down by the curveball. Swan and Eric Hinsky, the tremendous rookie, also a victim of the curveball.
14 strikeouts, no walks in that game on Monday. Pedro threw a season-high 117 pitches. Over his last 3 starts, 34 strikeouts, just 1 walk. Here's Robert Fick, the Tigers' lone all-star. Fick takes a called strike. Leads Detroit with 11 home runs, batting .294. Tigers Player of the Month in June when he hit .347. Leading the Tigers in many offensive categories. Fick had an 18-game hitting streak earlier this season. Easley takes his lead off first. The 1-1. Pedro again missing away. Ball 2.
Right now, a lot of the fastballs from Martinez about 88 miles an hour. What he's doing is trying to turn the fastball over early in the count against his very aggressive ball club.
First-year manager Grady Little. Red Sox in second place in the East. 2 games in back of the Yankees. Fick gets a piece of it, 2-2.
Nice story for Robert Fick, a guy that was a catcher in the Tiger organization. They moved him to the outfield. He's now become a member of the All-Star team. He has 8 assists in the outfield. Tremendous throwing arm. Threw a runner out at third base last night, Trot Nixon.
Says the one player he wants to meet at the All-Star game is Ichiro.
Everybody does.
The 2-2. The curve is looped foul to the left side. Nice catch. Robert Fick will become the first Tiger to go to the All-Star game in 18 years. Chet Lemon back in 1984. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 away, and the Tigers first. Tony Clark was the Tigers All-Star representative last year, now a member of the Red Sox.
And recently showing signs of coming out of a slump. Very seldom plays day games after night games because of the back problems he's had in the past.
Pedro picks off Damian Easley.
One thing Pedro will do, he'll hold the ball a long time on the mound, and if the batter does not step out and call timeout, that runner gets flat-footed. And very quick feet for Martinez. It's not a great throw. A nice play by Jose Offerman, but the tag clearly on the shoulder before the hand got to the bag. Here's the quick feet by Martinez and the 98-mile-an-hour pickoff over there at first base.
Pedro just missing with the curveball. So the count is full. Easily picked off first after he was hit by the pitch from Pedro Martinez. The payoff pitch to Fick, a called strike 3 with the curve. Strikeout number 1 today, number 134 on the season. Pedro leads the American League.
For the Red
We head to the bottom of the first from Fenway. Boston Red Sox record of 51 and 32. Their batting order brought to you by Napa. All-star center fielder Johnny Damon leads off, followed by first baseman Jose Offerman. Shortstop Nomar Garcia-Parra in the number 3 spot. Then left fielder Manny Ramirez. Shea Hillenbrand bats 5th. Jason Varitek 6th. Bottom of the order, Doug Mirabelli, the DH. Trot Nixon sizzling during this homestand. Will bat 8th. And Lou Maloney 9th. As the Red Sox face 24-year-old left-hander Mike Maroth, a Red Sox draft pick back in '98, 3rd round, out of the University of Central Florida. And Jerry, he was traded by the Red Sox to the Tigers in July of '99 in exchange for Bryce Flory.
And that one win in a beautiful game against Arizona outpitched Curt Schilling in that ball game.
Johnny Damon, first pitch, fly ball right field. Catch is made by Fick. 1 away.
Scouting report on Maroth. Fastball curve. They say his change is the best pitch that he will throw.
Number 30.
Sometimes when you make a smart start, you don't have time to think about it. You get a better performance. It was Jeff Weaver was scheduled to make this start today for the Tigers.
Back in '99, Maroth won 11 games for the Red Sox single-A ball club in Sarasota before the trade to Detroit. Here's Jose Offerman. Switch hitter batting from the right side against the left-hander Maroth. Offerman batting .223. Just .191 from the right side. Mike Maroth started the year in AAA with Toledo. In 11 starts, he won 8, lost only 1. Recalled by the Tigers, has made 5 starts so far. As you mentioned, Jerry, the only win in Arizona when he beat Curt Schilling. He's not a strikeout pitcher. He's struck out only 7 so far in his 5 starts, but has only allowed 12 earned runs.
Relies on good control, needs to hit his corners to be effective, especially with his fastball, and of course the changeup. Try to keep those hitters off balance.
The 2-2 to Offerman. Maroth missing low, and the count is full. Jeff Weaver, today's scheduled starter, now a member of the New York Yankees. Dealt late last night after the game by team president Dave Dombrowski. A 3-way deal involving the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Oakland A's.
Gave him a little bit of a surprise, Kenny. You know, everybody was talking about how they'd love to have Weaver, but they had him tied up in a long-term contract, and he's still a very young guy.
Ball 4, so the Red Sox have their first base runner of the game. Jeff Weaver, a Yankee. Northeastern University product, Carlos Pena, goes to the Tigers along with a Double-A All-Star pitcher, Franklin Vermont, as well as a player to be named later. Ted Lilly goes from the Yankees to the A's along with 2 minor league prospects. Right-handed pitcher Jason Arnold and outfielder John Ford Griffin.
And I must say that trade did not make Red Sox Nation very happy this morning. That's all the Yankees need is another starting pitcher.
Second big acquisition by the Yankees this week after they acquired Raul Mondesi from Toronto. And the Blue Jays were here in Boston when that deal was made. So in both cases, Yankees trade with a team while that trade partner is in Boston.
Well, at least Detroit sent their guy to Oakland first.
Weaver technically traded to Oakland. A's then dealt him to the Yankees. Weaver 6-8 this year, but did not receive much run support from his Tiger teammates. Won 13 games a year ago. Maroth again over to first. Offerman 7 steals this year.
That last graphic you saw on Garcia-Parra, right-handers against left-handers. Generally, he is among the league leaders against left-handed pitching, but has struggled some this year against lefties.
Drive, base hit into the left field corner. Offerman around second, on his way to third. An RBI double off the bat of Nomar Garciaparra, his 66th run batted in of the year.
66 RBI now in the season, puts him 4th in the league in that category. This ball's going to rattle around in the corner. Once it gets trapped in that garage door, you're going to see it bounces around. And of course, when third base coach Mike Hubbard sees that, he's just going to wave Jose Offerman home, and really no contest at all. Offerman goes into the slide, but really didn't have to. Hubbard has done an outstanding job coaching third base this year in a very difficult park to coach third base.
So the Red Sox strike first. Manny Ramirez steps in. Takes ball 1 from Maroth. Ramirez spent 6 weeks on the DL with a broken finger. Since returning, he's just 9 for 39. No extra base hits. Big lead off second for Garciaparra as Ramirez takes a called strike, 1-1. Manny heading to his 5th All-Star game. Voted in by the fans. 5 teammates will be going with him. Two and 1.
Plus the Red Sox wearing the black armbands with the number 9, and Ramirez has also added a 9 to the batting helmet up here. Some of the Red Sox have done that, not all, but all are wearing the 9 on their sleeve.
Number 9 retired by the Red Sox back in May of 1984. Left center for Ramirez. Cummings waves home Garciaparra. Red Sox take a 2-0 lead. RBI number 38 for Manny Ramirez.
Well, we talked about the changeup being the best pitch from Maroth. That's exactly what the Ramirez is going to hit here. A changeup that's down, but it did have a lot of the plate. And Garciaparra at second base with his speed will score easily. So the Red Sox up quickly this afternoon with the 2-0 lead. Red Sox played one of their first games in a long time last night against the Tigers.
You think the news of Ted Williams' death had anything to do with it?
I'm not sure about that, Kenny. They made a lot of errors in the field. Seemed like concentration was down a little bit. And for the most part, they've been a pretty good defensive team all year.
Nomar Garciaparra in particular very close to Ted Williams. Spoke with Ted on the phone frequently about hitting.
Ted would call the ballpark, get a hold of the receptionist, and they'd put him right down to the clubhouse, and he would speak with Nomar a number of times about hitting.
In fact, Nomar said whenever he would receive the call from the late Helen Robinson, longtime receptionist here at Fenway, Helen would say to Nomar, "Your hitting coach is on the line."
Not a bad personal hitting coach, huh?
2-0 Red Sox. Shea Hillenbrand at the plate, heading to his first All-Star game, a guy who made the jump just last season from Double-A.
And he has been struggling some recently for Boston. As a matter of fact, it was given a night off last night by manager Grady Little.
He had started 33 consecutive games. The 1-2. Hillenbrand gets a piece of it. Hillenbrand also voted in by the fans. He will start Tuesday night in Milwaukee. Leads the Red Sox with 13 home runs and has surpassed his RBI total of a year ago. Nice backhand play by Parkett. Second for one, set for first.
Three-6-1, one of the most difficult double plays to turn. A nice original play here by Boquete. He'll cross over, make the backhanded play, off-balance throw to shortstop. Santiago running across the bag, but too difficult for that pitcher to get over. Get in a good position to take that throw, and Hillenbrand gets down the line pretty well.
So with 2 away, here's catcher Jason Varitek, who had the night off last night. Switch hitter batting from the right side. Doug Mirabelli started at catcher for the Red Sox last night, hit his 4th home run, and is in the lineup again today as the designated hitter. Hillenbrand takes his lead, 2 outs. Fastball high, 1-1.
Something you don't see very often when a team is carrying just 2 catchers where they're both in the lineup. One is the DH and one as the catcher, obviously, with Veritek. An injury, you'd probably have to put Mirabelli back there and you'd lose the DH for the game.
Nice play by the shortstop, Santiago, but the flip off the mark. And the inning will continue. An infield hit for Jason Veritek. 3rd hit of the inning for the Red Sox.
Santiago shows tremendous range just to get to this ball, but really couldn't get much on that backhanded flip to second base. And Hillenbrand will beat that play at second to keep the inning alive. Very tough play for the shortstop when he's running away from that bag to try to get a good, accurate, hard flip to get that force out.
You mentioned both catchers in the starting lineup. Ryan Dahlback was in the original Red Sox lineup. He was going to be the DH and not Mirabelli, but when the Red Sox found out about the trade and that they would be facing the left-hander Maroth instead of the right-hander Weaver, that is when Grady Little made the change.
We've had all kind of lineup changes today on both sides.
For the Tigers, Randall Simon was scheduled to DH. But the late change, now it's Damian Jackson. Mirabelli, 2 for 4 on the home run last night. DHing for the first time this year. He started 21 games behind the plate for the Red Sox. Louis Pujols replaced Phil Garner after just 6 games in Detroit. Funny story involving the Tigers manager. Friends were calling Pujols' mother in the Dominican Republic looking for tickets to the game to watch fellow Dominican Pedro Martinez pitch. So Pujols winds up supplying 40 tickets for Red Sox fans.
That's not a good feeling, I guess, huh?
Thanks for giving the number out, Mom. Mirabelli with a drive, deep left field. He's home for the 2nd straight game. A 3-run shot. The Red Sox take a 5-0 first inning lead over the Tigers.
Mirabelli does not get a chance to play very much, but when he does, he's looking for one thing, and that's to hit home runs. You mentioned Kenny hit a home run last night, and very similar to this blast here early in the ball game. That ball down and in. Mirabelli belts it out of Fenway Park, and the Tigers don't like to see a 5-0 lead, especially when they've got to face Pedro Martinez.
Home run number 5 for Doug Mirabelli. Pitching coach Steve McCatty out to the mound. The chat with Maroth, who had only allowed 12 earned runs over his first 5 Major League starts. He's allowed 5 in the first inning. Mirabelli taking Mark Redmond deep last night.
Mirabelli now has 19 hits on the season, and 5 of those have been home runs.
Five runs on 4 hits for the Red Sox here in the first. Trot Nixon, the 8th Red Sox to come to the plate in this inning. 2 for 3 with an RBI last night. Line drive caught by the second baseman Easley. Inning finally comes to an end. Red Sox lead 5-0. You're watching Fox Sports, home of postseason baseball and the 2002 World Series. We'll be back after this local break.
Back at Fenway Park, the Red Sox have the 5-0 lead. You might notice that Pedro Martinez has changed gloves between innings, and we'll explain that in just a second.
Shane Halter leading off for the Tigers here in the top of the second.
Between innings, Mike Riley, the home plate umpire, discussing with Pedro, all gloves have to be uniform in color. The stitching and webbing cannot be a different color. And Pedro trying to explain to him, well, what difference does it make when my gloves down here to my arms here? How does that distract the hitter? But that is one of the rules in baseball. So Mike kindly asked Pedro to switch gloves. He went down to the clubhouse to get his backup glove.
And with that backup glove on his left hand, he strikes out Shane Halter. Second strikeout for Martinez.
And the K-men out there in the bleachers who are here for every one of Martinez's starts will put the K's up on the board, whether they're looking or swinging.
He got Fick looking to end the first and strikes out Halter swinging to start the second. So with one away, here's center fielder Wendell McGee. McGee had 2 hits in last night's game, drove in a run. His .277 average is 64 points higher than his average from 2001. Biggest improvement in the American League.
Also very solid in center field. He had a very nice night defensively here at Fenway Park in game 1 of this 3-game series. He and Johnny Damon made some outstanding plays in center field last night.
A 1-1 to McGee. Curve is in there for a called strike, 1-2. A 1-2 from Martinez. Got it. Third consecutive strikeout for Pedro. Well, Jerry, for one spectacular summer night, the greatest collection of baseball superstars will gather in Milwaukee to take Sports Center stage. Ichiro, Jeter, Johnson, and Bonds lead the American and National League teams when they collide the 73rd All-Star Game, Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. See baseball's best in one unforgettable night only on Fox. 6 Red Sox will be there. Pedro selected by Joe Torre, but politely declined the invitation. Replaced by teammate Oogie Urbina.
I think the Red Sox front office, Red Sox teammates were happy that Pedro made that decision. They feel it's more important for him to be healthy all season long for the Red Sox than go and throw in a All-Star game.
Pedro, the All-Star MVP back in 1999 when he struck out 5 in 2 innings of work. Has 3 strikeouts today. 136 on the year.
And to this point, he's hardly using his fastball. A lot of changeups, a lot of curveballs. All 3 strikeouts on the curveball.
Craig Paquette awaiting the 2-2. Strikes out the side. Pedro Martinez. 4 strikeouts over the first 2 innings. Going with the change. Lead for the Red Sox here at Fenway. Lou Merlone leading off for Boston here in the second against Mike Maroth. Merlone, the only Red Sox who did not come to the plate in the first inning, as the Red Sox scored 5 runs on 4 hits and a walk. RBIs for Nomar Garcia-Parra and Manny Ramirez, and then the big blow, a 3-run homer off the bat of Doug Mirabelli. Maroth missing away. 1-2. The Mirabelli home run, only the second allowed by Maroth in 6 starts. Merlone drove in a run last night for the Red Sox, but is just 4 for his last 22. Backhanded play by the second baseman Easley, as we go to Jeannie Zalasko in Los Angeles for this game break.
Kenny, it's an AL Central showdown in Chicago. White Sox strike first as Bagley Ordonez collects his 66th RBI of the season with a sac fly, bottom one. Cleveland answers top two is Ricky Gutierrez, Singleton, Milton Bradley. The game is on. Tied at one at Comiskey, bottom two, Kenny.
All right, thanks, Jeannie. And Gary Maglio Ordonez, one of the 4 American League players beaten out by Johnny Damon in the 30th man internet voting by the fans this week to select the 30th player on each All-Star roster.
Jim Thome was ahead of him slightly at one point, and then we had an afternoon game here at Fenway Park, and I think Damon got an awful lot of internet votes on that afternoon and retook the lead and is going to the All-Star game.
How many times did you vote for him?
Only the one.
To log on Sunday night?
Oh, absolutely. Johnny Damon has probably been the most valuable player on this Red Sox team through the first half of the season.
Pedro Martinez calls Damon the heart of this Boston Red Sox team.
66 runs scored to lead Ichiro in that category, lead the American League. The batting average starting to climb again after a slight slump for Damon.
Towering pop-up. The catcher Inge in foul territory makes the catch. 2 away. Johnny Damon now 0 for 2. The Red Sox hitting coach Dwight Evans was asked, Damon is the best Sox leadoff hitter since who? Evans answered, Jerry Remy.
Well, at least Dwight has a good memory anyway. It's somebody that he played with, but Johnny Damon a little bit better, much better on base percentage, hits over 300. He's already got the 20 steals on the season. That's something the Red Sox desperately needed. And plus, when you look at Nomar's RBI at 65, that means Damon's beginning on base an awful lot at the top of that lineup.
Jose Offerman base hit into left field. 5th hit of the game for the Red Sox. And then Johnny Damon was asked what he remembers about your career, Jerry. He said, we didn't have TV in my house, and there wasn't much cable back then.
That's true.
Way back when.
That's when a lot of games were on radio, except on weekends.
Just, they were not listening in the Damon household.
They had more important things to do.
A 2-out base runner for the Red Sox here in the second. Elmar Garcia Parra drove in the first run of the game with a double to left field. First pitch popped up to the right side. Paquette in front of Easley. Red Sox are retired. Fox Sports, home of postseason baseball and the 2002 World Series, will return after a message from your local station. Pedro Martinez has struck out 4 consecutive Tigers. Catcher Brandon Inge takes a called strike, 0-1. Inge batting .255 on the season, just 2 for his last 16. Quickly falls behind, 0-2. Bottom of the order for the Tigers here in the third. Inge, Damian Jackson, and Ramon Santiago. The 0-2, missing low and away, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tigers have won 3 in a row. They won 2 of 3 from the White Sox in Chicago, their first victory in a road series all season. And they won last night's game 9-5. 3 straight wins. 4 victories in the last 6 games, but they trail here 5-0.
They've shown some signs recently of coming out of the offensive slump. They're last in the league at runs, but they had the 6-home run game in Chicago, and of course scored a lot of runs here last night against the Red Sox.
Tonight the Tigers hit 6. Tuesday the White Sox also hit 6 home runs.
12 home runs in that ball game.
Teams combined to tie a major league record with the 12 home runs in one game. Fastball missing high, and Pedro has walked the number 7 hitter, Brandon Inge.
Last time Pedro Martinez faced the Tigers, first 2 pitches of the game went for home runs. It was Ramon Santiago and then Damian Easley back-to-back for the home runs. A little bit different start today for Pedro against this club that gave him problems last time out.
Pedro did leave that game with a 6-4 lead. Red Sox wound up losing 7-6. 2-0 in 5 career starts against Detroit. Here's the designated hitter, Damian Jackson. Jackson has made 31 starts at second base this year. This is his first start in the DH slot. Late replacement for Randall Simon. Dimitri Young, who had been DHing as of late, also out. Aggravated the hernia last night. So Jackson batting 8th for the Tigers. Brandon Inge, the runner on first. Nobody out. Top of the 3rd inning from Fenway Park. Red Sox scored 5 in the first. Nothing in 2 on Jackson with Ramon Santiago waiting on deck.
That walk allowed by Pedro, the first that he has allowed since a couple of starts ago at San Diego. He had 1 walk in that game, 11 strikeouts. No walks against Cleveland, no walks against Toronto.
And the Tigers don't walk a lot. Oh, beautiful curve. As Damian Jackson goes down on strikes. 5th strikeout for Martinez.
All strikeouts so far in this ball game from Pedro coming on off-speed pitches. 4 of the 5 coming on the curveball. 1 has been on the changeup.
Ramon Santiago.
Pedro has faced 8 Tigers so far. Only the leadoff man, George Lombard, put the ball in play. He flied out to the right fielder, Trot Nixon. Pedro has struck out 5. He's walked 1 and he hit a batter. As you saw just a moment ago, Ramon Santiago homered off Martinez, leading off the game back on June 3rd at Comerica Park. Also led off the next night's game with a home run.
Santiago has 4 home runs total on the season. 3 of those home runs have come against the Boston Red Sox, and he had a good night here last night against Boston.
Career high 3 runs batted in last night's game. Santiago gets the bat on it. First hit of the game for the Tigers. Detroit with runners on first and second and only 1 away.
Five strikeouts for Pedro. A curveball here to Fick. A curveball to Shane Halter. A curveball to McGee. A changeup to get Poquette. And then a curveball to get Jackson. So every one of the strikeouts so far on his off-speed pitches. He is not yet top 90 with a fastball. They're basically 88, 89 trying to turn the fastball over.
The curve is in for a called strike. George Lombard. Interesting family history up here in the New England area. Although he had never been to Fenway until yesterday. His 91-year-old grandfather, George Francis Fabian Lombard, a professor emeritus from Harvard. He was a dean at Harvard's business school. His mother's side, the Lombard side, can trace its roots, Gary, back to the Mayflower. Time called. Lombard's mother, Posey, was a civil rights worker from Massachusetts who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. Yet George had never been to Fenway. Spent summers with aunts and uncles on Cape Cod.
Well, he got a taste of Fenway last night. He had a 2-for-5 ball game here.
A 1-2. Lombard gets the bat on it. Fouled off to the right side.
Lombard coming over from the Braves organization, was actually playing rehab in the minor leagues, had a strained right calf. That kept him sidelined.
2 on, 1 out. The 1-2 got him with the fastball. Strikeout number 6 for Martinez.
Maybe some of these Detroit hitters looking for the off-speed stuff, but Pedro makes the adjustment with the fastball on the outside corner. That one clocked at about 91 miles an hour. Well, if you can pile up some strikeouts against this Tiger ball club, that's doing something, because they're generally not there long enough to get to 2 strikes.
With 2 away, here's Damian Easley, who was hit by a pitch in the first inning and then picked off first by Martinez. You talk about the Tigers not taking many pitches. Randall Simon last night 5 at bats. What did he face? 9 pitches?
I think 8 or 9. That was the total, and that's a lot of pitches for him.
Fly ball, center field. Damon under it. Tigers retired. They strand 2 in the 3rd. Tonight, exciting Winston Cup racing returns with the final Fox race of the season in a primetime spectacle. Dale Earnhardt Jr. looks to relive last year's dramatic win as the points race begins to heat up. The Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Tonight at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on Fox, your home for NASCAR.
Love that NASCAR. I have an early dinner tonight, get home by 7, watch the race, and I've got Dale Jarrett tonight in that race.
The expert analysis from Jerry Remy, taking Dale Jarrett. According to a couple of the Red Sox players who are involved in the NASCAR pool, Jerry, with you and your Red Sox partner, Sean McDonough, they say don't listen to what Jerry has to say.
I'm in dead last place, and I have no chance of climbing out of last place. But I'm looking for a good finish tonight.
So not good news for Dale Jarrett. And the hold it short, backhanded by Santiago, fires across to get Ramirez. Nice play by the 20-year-old shortstop.
Santiago has looked like a very nice player in the few times that I've seen him play so far. Very steady defensively at shortstop. Only 3 errors made, and
number 29,
hit guys like Pedro Martinez. Good range shown going to the backhand, gets to the chance to slant that back leg, and a good, strong over-the-top throw to Paquette to get the out on Manny Ramirez.
Here's Shea Hillenbrand, who reached on a fielder's choice, came around to score in the first inning. Hillenbrand voted in to start the All-Star game. The last Red Sox third baseman to go to the All-Star game. Not Wade Boggs, but Scott Cooper back in 1994.
And of course, Hillenbrand becomes the first to be voted in, other than Cal Ripken.
The 1-1 from Maroth. Catches the inside corner, 1-2. Maroth allowed 5 first-inning runs on 4 hits. Starting in place of the trading Jeff Weaver. 6th hit of the game for the Red Sox as Hillenbrand singles up the middle.
Anytime a major league pitcher hangs a breaking ball like that against a player who has the ability to hit home runs, you're very happy that it stays in the ballpark. This breaking ball just stays upstairs. Hillenbrand on top of it, puts it on the line in the center field for the base hit. A lot of times that type of breaking ball will go out of the ballpark.
Just the 8th hit in the last 51 at-bats for Hillenbrand. Here's Jason Varitek. A 2-out infield single in the first inning. The next batter, Mirabelli, hit a 3-run home run. Red Sox leading the Tigers 5-0. Red Sox lost last night after sweeping a 5-game series from the Blue Jays this week. Varitek, towering fly ball into center. Under it is McGee, 2 away.
A lot less room to roam around for Wendell McGee here at Fenway Park than at his home in Comerica Park.
Yes.
What is it, about 440 to straightaway center field in Comerica?
The designated hitter, Doug
12 home run game you mentioned. Obviously at Comiskey, not at Comerica Park.
I don't think you'll ever see that at Comerica Park.
Maybe during batting practice, 12 might leave the ballpark
for the season.
Well, here's Mirabelli, who has left the ballpark in each of the last 2 games. Homered last night in the 9-5 loss. A 3-run shot in the first inning off Maroth. Hillenbrand, the runner on first with 2 away. Ames fires down, and Hillenbrand gets back in.
Brandon Inge, very quick feet as he catches, very similar to Ivan Rodriguez. He picked off Trot Nixon last night at first base. Most of the time you see those catches throw behind left-handed hitters, but even with the righty up there making that pick off a Champion, Hillenbrand diving back to the outside part of the bag as far away from the tag as possible.
Bounce to Halter at third, throws across. 3 innings in the books. As we remember, Ted Williams. Jerry, there is section 42, row 37, seat 21.
That is the seat where Ted Williams hit the longest home run here at Fenway Park, seat 21. That will remain vacant the rest of the year in honor of Ted Williams.
Robert Fick thrown out by the runner.
And whoever has tickets for that particular seat will be upgraded. It happened last night. A young lady from Wisconsin was here visiting Fenway Park. She had that particular ticket. The Red Sox front office upgraded her to tickets in the 600 club behind home plate. So the remainder of this season, the red seat, which is always marked out there for the home run, will be vacant. This is the 600 club here at Fenway, where last night that young lady was upgraded to.
Shane Halter at the plate. The home run hit by Ted Williams back in 1946, Jerry, traveled an estimated 502 feet, and he hit it off a Tiger. Fred Hutchinson was on the mound, and Ted Williams took Hutchinson deep. In fact, the seats with backs did not exist out there back in 1946. It was bench seating at the time. But that is where the home run actually pierced through the straw cowboy hat of a construction worker who was sitting out there. He said it was so sunny he couldn't see the ball coming towards him. And all of a sudden he had a hole in his straw hat.
Well, they always say right field's the toughest one to play at Fenway because of the sun, so apparently the same thing in the bleachers.
And that home run was one of 88 Ted Williams hit against Detroit. He hit more home runs against the Tigers than any other opponent. Halter got a piece of it. 521 career home runs for Ted Williams. Tied on the all-time list with Willie McCovey. Over 2,600 hits, 18-time All-Star, 2 Triple Crowns. In fact, he did not win the MVP award in either 1942 or 47 when he won the American League Triple Crown. Halter becomes strikeout victim number 7 for Pedro Martinez.
Pedro this time going with the fastball to pick up the strikeout. He got him on curveball first time up. Maybe Halter looking breaking ball. Instead this time Pedro outguessing him with the fastball. The K's continue to mount out in the bleachers section.
Wendell McGee struck out in the second inning. Falls behind 0-1. Striking out foreign territory to Ted Williams. On the ground to Nomar and short. Easy 1, 2, 3, 4. for Martinez. Back at Fenway, our RadioShack.com trivia question. Who are the 3 players to steal a base in 4 different decades? 3 Major League players have stolen at least 1 base in 4 different decades. Our RadioShack.com trivia question as Front Nixon leads off for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the 4th inning against Mike Maroth. Nixon with a drive, deep right field. Back on the warning track. Thick, he watches it go into the bullpen. Home run number 10 for Trot Nixon on the first pitch of the 4th inning. Red Sox take a 6-0 lead.
Trot Nixon has been hot recently for the Red Sox, and he's also starting now to hit left-handers much better than he did earlier in the season. Home run number 10 for Nixon, RBI number 35 on the season. Trot gets that fastball inside. Instead of trying to stay away from Nixon where he's had some problems, they throw him inside, and Nixon lifts it for the home run into the bullpen of the Detroit Tigers.
As Lou Merlone steps in, we are honored to be joined here in the booth by an all-time great Boston Red Sox, former All-Star, former manager, former broadcaster.
Please,
now a special assignment instructor. He's done just about everything for this organization. And most of all, a dear friend to the late Ted Williams, Johnny Pesky. And Johnny in uniform again today. What were your thoughts yesterday as all the tributes came pouring out?
Well, Kenny, yesterday was a very sad day, as we all know. And I did talk to John Henry Williams and Claudia this morning. John called, and he was all right. He talked, like he normally would, but he was up. You could see he was upset. And it was a very sad day around here yesterday, Ken, and we all felt badly.
Johnny, you took the field in uniform yesterday for the pregame ceremony, and the touching moment when you and Nomar Garciaparra left the field. What was that like?
Well, that was pretty cool, as they say in today's language, but that made me feel good. Nomar, we were supposed to stand together, and when Grady got in between, but when we departed for the dugout, Nomar come over and grabbed me by the neck, and we walked in together. Ted was very fond of Nomar, and he was a great kid, and I really believe that Nomar really felt his death a lot, not extremely, but he was very friendly with Ted, and Ted got to know him as a young player, and when you see a kid like Nomar who's so gung-ho about his baseball career, and I think that's one of the reasons that Ted liked him so well. You know Ted, Jerry, and how he was. I remember when he first saw Garciaparra, he had that good level swing, and he had power, and he could run. And he said to me one day, we were having supper one night in Florida, and he said, he said, Johnny, he says, that young shortstop of ours, he says, he's a pretty good looking. He should be. He's got good appearance at the plate. He hits the ball to all fields, plus he can run. When he said this, he said, I actually believe that he can hit 400 someday. And that's quite a tribute.
Johnny, it had to be very difficult over the last couple of years. Of course, Bobby Dorr, yourself very close, Dominic DiMaggio, to watch the deterioration with the illness for Ted. This big, strong, boisterous guy. And have the sickness take over.
Well, it was, Jerry. We spent 3 days with him last October, and it was a great time.
Johnny Damon at the plate for the Red Sox with Merlone, runner on first. Nobody out, bottom of the 4th inning. Johnny, I know you spent the last 30 hours or so telling hundreds and hundreds of stories about Ted and your relationship with Ted Williams. But is there one that comes to mind?
Well, there's a lot of them, Ken, but we don't have enough time. But, well, if we get a little time in here, there's a couple that maybe I can go over quickly with him, because he was such an influence on all of us. He was our leader, and we had a great association, both on the field and off, and we looked up to him, and he was great with Dominic and Bobby and myself, because we came to the ball club in simultaneous years. Ted and Bobby came first, then Dominic slipped in there, and I came after that.
Johnny, I don't know about you, but there were times that I would see him in spring training, and I would want to run the other way because he'd always pep you with these questions.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have the correct answer,
say, how dumb can you be?
Exactly.
Damon into the right field corner.
Get it on that pole.
Catch is made by Robert Fick.
That's your pole down there.
Yeah, that's my pole, yeah.
Johnny Damon hit one around that pole just last night.
Yeah, well, I told him to. I wish it was that easy. Hillebrand hit one down here about a week ago, and it was about 3 feet fair, and he called it the pesky home run. I said, if you hit it a little bit further than I did, it's only 295 feet down there.
Johnny, it was an awful nice tribute they paid, I thought, last night. Very low-key, but playing taps and all the players coming out to the line, the moment of silence. I thought it was so well done here at Fenway Park.
Well, it was. Ooh.
Nice diving stop by Easley. Gets the lead runner. Offerman safe at first, so the Tigers get the force at second. Now 2 away. Here are the Red Sox fourth.
Looks like Pedro's got it today, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Beautiful play here by Damian Easley. They'll just be able to get the force.
You know, I was talking last night, Johnny, about the fact that what keeps Ted, I think, in touch with today's players, how they all respect him, is the fact that he hit over 400. And that's all something all players can relate to. It's so difficult to do. I mean, there are other stars that some of these guys didn't even know about, but they all knew Ted because Ted hit over 400.
Well, he's very well versed around here. They write about him a lot, and the kids read this stuff.
And of course, if you hadn't stopped at first base on your doubles to let him hit, he may have not had all those great numbers. They would have walked him.
Jerry, I was a singles hitter. I didn't have the opportunity to go to second on a lot of them, but
he had a rope around you to pull you back to first base.
No. Usually the coach was, when Earl Combs was here, he was great. He had that high-pitched voice, and he said, make the turn, make the turn. And I said, okay, just don't go too far. Because we had the man coming up.
Nomar behind, 0-2. Gets the bat on it.
If he gets by, and they'll get a triple.
Bounces around the pole for a ground rule double.
Attaboy, know me.
Second double of the game for Garciaparra.
You know, Jerry is just watching Nomar play, how he plays the game. He don't play it easy, does he? He gives it every ounce he's got. He's giving it to him.
Well, he's one of those guys that he wants to be the best, and he just continues to work very hard at his game.
And he does work very hard. He and Hillenbrand and Arriaga and that Sanchez kid, they work on. You see Clark out there taking a lot of good ground balls too.
Luis Pujols out to the mound. That will be all for Tigers starter Mike Maroth. We'll return in a moment. 29-year-old right-hander Julio Santana on in relief of Mike Maroth. Red Sox with runners on second and third. 2 outs as we continue to talk about the life and times of Ted Williams with his good friend Johnny Pesky. And Johnny, I know Ted had, what, 20/10 vision? And he always said he could see the individual seams on the baseball. Did you believe him?
I believed him. He could see a little mouse running up in the stands up there in center field. And funny thing, every time he'd come out of the dugout, I mean, coming out on the field, coming down the runway, and he'd look out, he'd look to see how the flag was. If it was blowing the right field, he had a big smile on his face. And they said, well, the old kid's going to pop one today. And by God, he didn't let you down. But that home run that he hit against Freddie Hutchinson, I was in that game, Ken, and I thought the ball would never come down. It was strange, but he hit some balls awful hard. I think Mantle hit a lot of balls hard, and Frank Robinson hit balls awful hard. I guess McGuire, but we saw him when he was in the American League. Those guys hit the ball tremendously hard. And some of the covers didn't come off the ball, they hit it so hard, but they were great hitters.
Here's a guy who certainly hits the ball hard, Manny Ramirez. In your conversations with Ted following the memorable night here at the All-Star game in '99, what did he tell you about that night?
Well, he was very impressed, of course, because You know, Ted, you know, he gives you that crusty outlook sometimes, but I think deep down, and I know he did, because he said to a lot of these, this meant a lot. I think when McGuire and Tony Gwynn went over to him and gave him a hug, and he really felt that, because he recognized good hitters.
The other thing too, John, is he was just as proud as his time in the service as his ability as a baseball player.
Yes, we went in the Navy about the same time, and he went through the program like a dose of salt, and I struggled with everything, with navigation and semaphore and code, and I was going down and get extra help all the time. And well, here's a pitch. I'll finish this in a minute, I hope.
A former broadcaster playing out for the pitch.
Well, anyway, Ted, we'd have supper together about 5 o'clock, and then we'd go into ship service and get a hot fudge sundae, and then I said, well, I got to go down and get some work. He said, so after 3 or 4 of these trips down to meet my guys who are trying to help me out get through the program, finally he said to me, can't you get this stuff, Johnny? He said, you're a high school graduate just like me. I said, yeah, but Ted, I'm not you.
How many people were? The one-seater Ramirez. You ever go fishing with him?
No, I wasn't a fisherman. He and Bobby Dorr were fishermen. Ted had a new boat down in the Everglades, and he's very clean. Ted was very clean. I guess Bobby had stepped in some dirt or something, and he stepped on his. He took his off, and Ted chewed him out for about 5 minutes. And Bobby said, "I'm never going to go fishing with him again."
Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes on Ramirez. So one thing we've just found out, Jerry, Ted Williams was more Felix Unger than Oscar Madison.
A neat freak.
Yes, he was. He was very neat. He was very neat. He always, you know, he didn't like to wear ties when he was a kid. He called it a field scarf.
He didn't like to tip his cap either.
No.
The payoff pitch gets away from Inge. Montana unable to make the catch. And out at the plate is Garcia Parra. After Offerman scored, Garcia Parra tagged out by the catcher, Inge. So the Red Sox now lead 7-0. Johnny Pesky, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ken. Jerry, good luck as always, my friend.
All right, Tom.
Thank you very much, Kenny.
We head to the 5th here at Fenway with the Red Sox leading the Tigers 7-0. Detroit catcher Brandon Inge wearing a microphone for us today. And he will bat second for the Tigers this inning. Inge tagged out Nomar Garcia Parra at home plate following a wild pitch, which allowed Offerman to score, and then Garcia Parra tagged out by Inge.
One of the most bizarre plays I think you'll see back there. Catcher throwing to the pitcher, then the pitcher throwing to the catcher to finally get an out.
A wild pitch on ball four to Ramirez. 1 run scored, and then the inning came to an end. One and 2 on Paquette. He struck out his first time up. Sends this one into the right field corner. On the run is Nixon. Makes Paquette up against the wall. Well, as we mentioned, Brandon Inge wearing a microphone for us today. Let's listen. So a little taste of what it sounded like down at home plate.
No shortage of excitement around home plate on that play.
Inge walked his first time up back in the 3rd inning. Only the 2nd walk issued by Pedro in his last 4 starts. He struck out 41 batters during that stretch. Red Sox scored 5 in the 1st. They added 2 in the 4th. as they chase Tigers starter Mike Maroth. In case you joined us late, Jeff Weaver scheduled to start today for Detroit, but he was traded late last night, early this morning to the New York Yankees in a three-player deal, a three-team deal, involving the Oakland Athletics as well. Carlos Pena scheduled to join the Tigers here in Boston in time for tomorrow's game. Inge walks for the second time and then flips his bat and hits Red Sox catcher Jason Varitek.
Catcher going against catcher here is Brandon Inge will take ball 4 from Pedro. Leave the batter's box, flip the bat, and it just kind of sticks at his hand, comes back and hits Varitek on the backside. Certainly nothing intentional there, but fortunately for Varitek, he's got that helmet on.
Payback perhaps next inning. Varitek due to bat second.
Well, you know what? Inge had to run around so much making that last play. He's probably exhausted and couldn't throw the bat far enough.
Damian Jackson fouls off the first pitch from Martinez. Jackson struck out his first time in today's game. You mentioned Randall Simon, a late scratch from the Tigers lineup. We've been told Simon left the ballpark to attend to personal matters and will miss tomorrow's game as well. So the Tigers down 2 players. They have only 3 players available on the bench. Line drive. Nomar deflection to center field. So the Tigers with a pair of base runners and only 1 away.
Nomar somehow had to lose sight of that baseball on the line drive because it looked like he was getting prepared to make the catch and go to first for the double play. But it hits right off the glove and caroms out towards center field. Nomar will pick up an error. That is his 15th error on the season. A high total for Garciaparra.
And his second in 2 games. Nomar committed 1 of 3 Red Sox errors last night. Santiago takes a called strike, 0-1. Garciaparra has committed more errors than any other American League shortstop. 1 of 5 shortstops headed to the All-Star game.
I think sometimes that Garciaparra gets victimized by official scores because of his range.
In the air, shallow left. Ramirez under it, 2 away. Well, Brandon Inge, after he flipped the bat, inadvertently hit Varitek. Here's what he had to say when he reached first base.
I didn't mean to throw it at him. Just stuck to my hand.
The left fielder, George Lombard.
Blaming it on the pine tar.
Pine tar and fatigue. There it is, just stuck on the glove and then right on top of Jason Varitek. So he's explaining to everybody as he goes around the bases, it was not intentional. It just stuck to my hand because of the pine tar. I think everybody realizes that, including Varitek.
George Lombard 0 for 2. Flied to right and struck out. Pedro has allowed only 1 hit over the first 4 2/3. He's walked 2, struck out 7. As he guns for his 11th victory of the season. This is his 18th start, Jerry, matching his total from 2001.
And they're also trying to protect him, Kenny. What they're going to do, he makes this start today. He has the All-Star break off, and he will not make another start till next weekend in Toronto. They're going to give him an extended period of time off.
With a 7-0 lead, do you think the Red Sox would err on the side of caution and pull Pedro out early?
They may do that. They have somebody loosening in the bullpen right now. Wayne Gomes just recently called up to the big leagues.
The 2-2 to Lombard. There's Gomes. Split last season between the Phillies and the Giants.
83 pitches for Pedro.
84 is fouled off to the screen.
They have been trying to keep him somewhere in that range between 100 and 105, tops 110. And with a large lead to this point, I'd be very surprised if Pedro was much over 100 in this game this afternoon.
For a season high 117 pitches in his last start on Monday. The curve is fouled off down the left field line. Johnny Pesky-Jerry has done such a tremendous job over the last couple of days telling stories, and he's received hundreds upon hundreds of requests. I think I saw Johnny on every television station, every local station last night. Strikeout number 8 for Pedro Martinez. Middle of the 5th from Fenway. 7-0 Red Sox. Bottom of the 5th at Fenway. Red Sox leading the Tigers 7-0. Shea Hillenbrand, Jason Varitek, Doug Mirabelli for the Red Sox here in the 5th. Hillenbrand has reached base twice, single to center his last time up. And the first pitch is fouled off to the left side, 0-1. Tigers, no runs, only 1 hit. Red Sox, 7 runs on 8 hits. Julio Santana on in relief of Mike Maroth. Charging the third baseman Halter. Nice stretch by Paquette. 1 away. Time now for the answer to today's RadioShack.com trivia question. The question once again, who are the 3 players to steal a base in 4 different decades? Perhaps Ernie Harwell knows the answer. Hall of Fame broadcaster joining us in the booth. Any guesses, Ernie?
No, sir. I'm going to stay out of that one.
There we go. Ted Williams, Ricky Henderson, current Red Sox, and current Florida Marlin Tim Raines. The 3 players to steal a base in 4 different decades.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Jason Varitek at the plate. Ernie, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Even if that was the same person, this thing was on a wireless transmitter, so someone else could have made this tape. Hey.
I didn't even realize it till I read the paper this morning, but no, I knew that Weaver was more or less on the block, but I didn't know it would hit when it did.
Now, you will not be off during the All-Star break, heading to Milwaukee to join the Fox.
I'm flattered that they asked me to show up, and it's going to be a lot of fun in Milwaukee.
Now, will you be doing some play-by-play on Tuesday night?
Well, I don't know what the plans are. I think I'll just sit there and watch those aces work.
I don't know. I get a strong feeling they may put you to work.
Well, okay.
A very strange journey. I heard yesterday when I was driving into the ballpark, you were in Boston at the Braves the day that Babe Ruth passed away. And here you are at Fenway Park last night on the day that Ted Williams passed.
That's right, Jerry. I was with the Brooklyn Dodgers in '48, and we made a trip up here to play the Boston Braves. In fact, the Braves knocked the Dodgers out of the pennant race at that series, and that was the same time that the Babe died in New York. So it was a little ironic that I was also here when Ted died.
Now, Ernie, I know you served with Ted on the Hall of Fame Veterans Committee. When was the last time you had contact with Ted Williams?
Well, I saw him. I worked on the Hall of Fame with him down at his home in Florida, and I saw him last February, but they just wheeled him in. He didn't say anything to anybody. The last time I really talked to him was the year before that at the same ceremony.
Is there one specific Ted Williams story that comes to mind?
Well, the one I remember is when I interviewed him when I was at WF3 in Atlanta at 42. He got a cab, came out, did a live show, and went back, and I didn't even pay his cab fare. You know, I was so naive. I didn't know you were supposed to do that.
You ever slip him 5 years later?
No, I had him then. I wasn't going to let him go. But he was a great guy, and of course, all the tributes here are certainly well deserved. And I know that he was #1 in the eyes of the Boston fans, and in all America for that matter, because of his service with the Marines and his great baseball record.
0-2 on Mirabelli. And he goes down on strikes to end the inning. Ernie, hopefully you can stay with us for another couple of minutes.
Well, if you guys can put up with me for another half, I'll do it.
Kenny Albert, Jerry Remy, and Ernie Harwell back at Fenway Park as 29-year-old right-hander Wayne Gomes will make his second appearance, Jerry, as a Red Sox.
Recently called up for Pawtucket. Of course, Gomes has been around with a few teams, and most of his time with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Damian Easley leading off for the Tigers. Pedro Martinez went 5 innings, allowed only 1 hit, walked 2, and struck out 8. And Jerry, as you mentioned, Pedro not scheduled to pitch again until next weekend in Toronto.
Yeah, they're going to give him extended time off, make sure they get him completely rested and healthy. They need him in the rotation for every start throughout the season.
Nice diving stop by Hillenbrand at third. They'll throw out easily. 1 away. Ernie, 55 years in the major leagues, and this your last trip to Fenway Park. When you think back, what are some of your biggest memories of this ballpark in this city?
Well, I think #1, not too a happy one in New England. I did the Bucky Dent home run with the great Winnie Elliott here on CBS radio. I knew that'd go over big with Jerry. But that was a big ball game, I think one of the biggest. And then I did the playoff game here when Clemens and Pedro battled each other, and they got Clemens out early, and Pedro went ahead to win it big. That was a big thrill for me because there was a lot of big build up on that game too.
Well, Ernie, this telecast is on in New York, so I know the folks watching there will not mind you bringing up the Bucky Dent game back in October '78. Robert Fick will represent the Tigers, Ernie, in this Tuesday's All-Star game in Milwaukee.
Well, he's a good one. Robert's a great hitter. He uses all the fields, and you know, he's a very excellent curveball hitter, and he's not much of a right fielder. He's learning on the job. They've tried him catching. They tried him at first base, and now he's in right, but he's adequate. But the bat's pretty good.
Ernie, you've seen them all come and go in the great years in baseball, and would it be fair to say, we hear this all the time, Ted Williams maybe the greatest hitter of all time, DiMaggio, maybe Willie Mays, the greatest all-around players?
Well, I think that's pretty accurate. I always thought that Mays was the best player. I didn't get to see DiMaggio too much because I was in the other league about the time he was retiring, but I did see him in action some. But to me, Willie was the best. I was with the Giants when he broke in, May the 25th, 1951, and he could do everything. He did it with a verve and a spirit that few people could match.
Fick got a piece of it. Ernie, I read a quote from you the other day. Somebody asked you, since you are retiring following this 2002 season, where will you be next February and March? You said, I'll be down in Lakeland at Tiger spring training.
Oh, I'll be hanging around. Yeah, I'll try to get out of everybody's way, but baseball has been a part of my blood ever since I've been about 10 years old, so I'm not going to give it up that easily.
Well, I know the folks around the country are looking forward to hearing from you on Tuesday night during the All-Star game.
Well, I love the baseball All-Star game. I think of all the sports, the All-Star game in baseball is by far the best because you got two leagues battling each other, and you don't change the rules in baseball like they do in some of the other sports.
Ted Williams said one of the greatest thrills he had was the home run he had in the All-Star game.
Absolutely.
Fick sends this one into the glove of Ramirez on the left field warning track. Ernie, would you like to read our All-Star promo for the game on Tuesday night?
For one spectacular summer night, the greatest collection of baseball superstars gather in Milwaukee to take sports center stage. Ichiro, Jeter, Johnson, and Bonds lead the American and National League teams when they collide for the 73rd All-Star Game Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. See baseball's best in one unforgettable night only on Fox.
Perfect.
I think you'll do okay.
I don't know. I've never won an audition yet. I probably never will.
With 2 away, Gomes facing Shane Halter, who singles into center field. A 2-out single, only the second hit of the game for the Tigers.
A favorite Tiger, Ernie, throughout the years?
Al Kaline, of all the guys I saw, he was a consummate professional, Jerry. He could do everything. Of course, I didn't see the great Tom Cobb. I interviewed him many times, got to know him, but I never had the pleasure of seeing Tyrus Raymond Cobb in action. But Kaline would certainly be Mr. Tiger for me.
Is there one moment that stands out, one baseball moment in a game that you called?
Well, the Bobby Thompson home run, I was on NBC TV, but from the Tiger standpoint, I think Northrup triple in the 7th inning of the 7th game and broke up the 0-0 pitching duel between Lolich and Bob Gibson and gave the Tigers a championship. But you know, you're lucky to be in certain spots. You can't give any credit to the announcer. He just happens to be there when it happens, and he does the best he can and hopes he doesn't mess it up too much.
Wendell McGee bounces this one into the glove of Garcia Parra, gets the force at second. Ernie, thanks for spending an inning with us. Have a great time on Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. God bless you. Good to be with you.
Ready?
Starts this 4th of July holiday with a bang.
Brace yourself for Daytona. Winston Cup Racing tonight in a primetime spectacle on Fox.
7-0 lead for the Boston Red Sox over the Detroit Tigers. Trot Nixon in a solo home run his last time up off Mike Maroth. Nixon leading off here in the bottom of the 6th against Julio Santana. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for the Tigers. 7 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Red Sox. Back in the 4th inning, Jerry, the last Red Sox run scored on what was initially ruled a wild pitch, but that has been changed to an error on the pitcher Maroth, who could not make the catch at home plate after the pitch. Ball 4 got away from the catcher Brandon Inge. So Maroth credited with the error, but it helps his earned run average.
I'm still trying to figure out that play.
Nixon walks on 4 pitches, leading off the 6th. Second walk issued by Santana. Time now to take a look at our Pepsi fan cam. Lou Maloney, 0 for 1, walked his last time up. It's been quite an afternoon in the broadcast booth as we have rolled out the red carpet for Johnny Pesky and then Ernie Harwell. Who's coming in next?
I have no idea, but we got a nice Pepsi here anyway. Celebrating the Pepsi 400 tonight at Daytona. Go Darryl. DJ, go DJ.
Pepsi 400 on Fox.
Dale Jarrett wins tonight. He's going to hold up this Pepsi just like this.
Might not be the only thing he holds up. Santana has thrown 6 pitches this inning, all balls. This one is a base hit down the right field line. On his way to third is Nixon. Maloney holds at first. Red Sox have runners on the corners with nobody out and a chance of Lou from the Fenway faithful.
Lou's been playing on a bad ankle. He fouled the ball off his foot a couple of games ago and then got taken out on a double play. Had to take a day off, but returned to the lineup last night. Late on that fastball. Santana's a hard thrower, but a line shot that stays inside the foul line. Maloney has his first hit of the afternoon.
Here's Johnny Damon, the only Red Sox without a hit today. Damon is 0 for 3. He's fly to right twice and fouled out to the catcher Inge. Coming into the game, Damon hitting over 600 against the Tigers this year. He had been 15 of 23 prior to the 0 for 3 this afternoon. Backhand stop by Santiago, gets the force. Coming in to score is Nixon. Red Sox now lead 8-0 as we check in with Jeannie Zalasko. A game break from Los Angeles.
Kenny, it's a good day to be a Sox or red or a white variety. Bottom 6, Jeff Leafer breaks up a tie ball game in a big way. A 3-run home run to give Chicago the lead. The White Sox have 12 home runs in their last 5 games, beating the Indians 5-2, bottom 7.
All right, Jeannie, and 6 of those White Sox home runs came against the Tigers in the game on Tuesday, as the teams combined to hit 12 in all, tying a major league record set, Jerry, back in May of '95 by the same 2 clubs, the Tigers and the White Sox. Twins by 7.5 over the White Sox. How about Jeff Weaver? Goes from the Tigers 17 out in the Central to the Yankees first place in the East.
It's amazing looking at that division. Only one team playing better than 500 baseball, the Minnesota Twins.
Twins going for win number 50 today.
One of the very unusual good plays you will see in the luxury boxes here at Fenway. Usually it bounces around, and when it stops rolling, that's when they pick it up. Very comfortable in those luxury boxes.
He's not shy about it either. The 1-2 to Offerman. Got him. Second strikeout for Santana. Second out here in the Red Sox 6th.
Talked about Santana being a hard thrower. Pretty shot breaking ball here to pick up the strikeout against Jose Offerman. Santana, a one-time member of the Red Sox organization, among other teams.
2 seasons ago, with the AAA Pawtucket Red Sox, Santana made 12 starts. He was then released by the Red Sox and signed by the Montreal Expos. Garcia far, ground ball to the shortstop. Santiago gets the force at second. Fox Sports, home of postseason baseball and the 2002 World Series, will return after a break from your local Fox station. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Scott Rowland and the Phillies visit the Big Apple to take on Mike Piazza and the Mets. Some of you will see Luis Gonzalez and the Diamondbacks as they take on Sean Green and the Dodgers, plus other regional action. It all begins with This Week in Baseball next Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Central. Craig Paquette 0 for 2 today. Ellen Brand 1 away. Brandon Inge coming up in his last at bat in the 5th inning. He walked and then inadvertently flipped the bat. It got stuck to his glove and nailed fellow catcher Jason Varitek. Here's what Inge had to say.
I thought he was mad at me before. I said, "What, do you think I did it on purpose?" He goes, no, it just startled me. It startled me. I said, "Well, you gave me a look like you wanted to kill me." Sorry about that.
Little catcher's humor, Jerry.
Hey, those guys get beat up enough through the course of a game. They don't have to beat each other up. A little apology there from Inge.
Varitek told Inge it startled him. Varitek got to look like you wanted to kill Brandon Inge. Ames walked twice against Pedro Martinez, facing Wayne Gomes here in the 7th. Red Sox with an 8-0 lead. First strikeout for Wayne Gomes. Pedro struck out 8 in 5 innings.
Well, they removed Martinez from the game early with the large lead. They're getting a strong performance here from Gomes in the 6th and 7th. Only 1 hit allowed. Tony Cloninger, Red Sox hitting coach, on the phone, so this may be the last inning for Gomes. Chris Haney, a left-hander, starting to loosen up.
Damian Jackson at the plate. Struck out and reached on an error.
There's some dark clouds overhead at Fenway Park now. They've turned the lights on.
Two and one now on Damian Jackson. 2 outs, top of the 7th inning. Fastball inside, 3-1. Red Sox planning a memorial service for Ted Williams on an off day here at Fenway Park, July 22nd. Williams will also be honored at the All-Star game this Tuesday. Family does not want a funeral. They would like people to celebrate the life of Ted Williams. Well, John Wayne, the first time he met Ted Williams, he said, "Kid, I just acted in the movies. You lived it." Perfect.
Ted also flew alongside John Glenn, one of those missions. World War II, and of course also in Korea. Imagine the 5 years that he missed playing the game of baseball, what the numbers would have been.
And the Red Sox reportedly in the process of contacting John Glenn so he can take part in the ceremony on July 22nd. Ted Williams, member of the Baseball Hall of Fame and the Fishing Hall of Fame.
Number 39.
He and Kurt Gowdy, who was a longtime announcer here for the Red Sox, very, very close friends, and did an awful lot of fishing together in their time together here in Boston.
Ramon Santiago, 1 for 2. Singled back in the 3rd inning. Bounces this one to the second baseman, Merloni. We take you to commercial by turning the clock back September of 1960. Ted Williams' last major league at bat.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we ask that you
Napa application engineered.
7th inning stretch time here at Fenway. Our game summary: Pedro Martinez struck out 8 Tigers in 5 innings. Mike Maroth, replacing the traded Jeff Weaver on the mound for Detroit, lasted only 3 2/3. He allowed a 3-run homer in the 1st off the bat of Doug Mirabelli, and then a solo shot off the 4th. And the 4th, Trot Nixon, his 10th. A pair of doubles for Nomar. Manny Ramirez leading off for the Red Sox against the 3rd Tigers pitcher of the game, Jose Lima, the former starter, who's appearing, Jerry, in only his 7th game in the last 68 for the Tigers.
He's been a forgotten man for the Detroit Tigers, generally in situations like this where the game is a blowout. Only his 11th appearance of the year. As you can see, he did make 4 starts earlier in the season.
And hit down the left field line. Ramirez heading for second. No throw from Lombard. First extra base hit for Manny, Jerry, since returning from the disabled list in 42 at-bats.
Number 29.
Manny Ramirez taking that Lima pitch that was down and in right down the third base line. It makes its way all the way down in the corner, and you're right, Kenny. The first extra base hit, and hopefully that's a sign of more power numbers on the way for Ramirez. Red Sox fans certainly hope that's the case.
Ramirez batting .750 against Jose Lima, now 6 for 8 against Lima. Here's Shea Hillenbrand. Hillenbrand 1 for 3 with a run. And takes high for ball 1.
Incredible to turn around, and Lima's career had just a terrific year down at Houston a few years back. They moved ballparks into a much smaller ballpark, gave up a lot of home runs, and has never enjoyed the same success.
Reacquired last year by the Tigers in exchange for Dave Malicki. Inge now out for a chat with Lima. We'll throw it out to Los Angeles now for a game break with Jeannie Zalasko.
Well, Kenny, Ted Williams, the greatest hitter of all time. Today we asked you who's the best in baseball right now. What about the National League? Locked up between Bonds and Sosa. American League, it is Nomar running away with it. Kenny?
All right, thanks very much, Jeannie. Fans in Boston obviously going online this afternoon.
Computers must be busy here in New England.
Jerry, you told me the story before the game, but you have to tell the fans about it. First time you met Ted Williams during spring training with the Red Sox in 1978.
Yes, I traded to the Red Sox.
Santiago, Ramirez holds, throws out Hillenbrand.
And at that time, of course, Ted was an instructor who would come down to spring training and work a lot with some of the younger players and, of course, the major league team. So obviously a big thrill the first time you lay eyes on Ted Williams. He just lit up a room every time that he walked in. He walked into the clubhouse, he walked by a number of lockers, and there's a section in the middle where they had where you shave, a couple of sinks, and a very large mirror. And he stopped at the mirror, he put his arms out to the side, he said, there he is, the greatest hitter of all time. So he said, he's not bashful.
So that was your first impression.
But you know, he was scary, Kenny, because he always had a question for you. And of course, in those days, Rick Burleson, myself, were at the top of a lineup in front of guys like Carlton Fisk, Carl Yastrzemski, Ted Williams, all, you know, power hitters. And he'd always drop these questions on us like, what is your most important job? Well, we knew it was to get on base, but we wanted to make sure we gave the right answer, because if you didn't, Ted would be all over you.
Double play as Veritek lined out to Easley. And then Ramirez could not make it back to second. After 7 from Fenway. 8-0 Sox. Tonight, exciting Winston Cup racing returns with the final Fox race of the season and a primetime spectacle. Dale Earnhardt Jr. looks to relive last year's dramatic win as the points race begins to heat up. The Pepsi 400 at Daytona tonight, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on Fox, your home for NASCAR. New Red Sox pitcher, Jerry, Chris Haney.
Done a nice job out of the bullpen for the Red Sox with his new sidearm delivery. He worked in the ball game last night against the Tigers, 2/3 of an inning. A run and a strikeout. Brian Nelson takes over at second base. Garcia Parra out of the ball game. Maloney moves the shortstop.
George Lombard leading off for the Tigers here in the 8th. 0 for 3, struck out twice. Top of the order for the Tigers here in the 8th. White Sox leading the Indians, Jerry, top of the 8th inning. White Sox 7.5 behind the Twins in the American League Central. A 1-2 missing, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And one goal for a team like the White Sox. Let's first get to 500 and then try to put a chase on the Minnesota Twins, who have that 7.5 game lead.
$8-0 Red Sox here. On one hop. Nice play by Offerman. Takes it to the back himself for the first out. Ted Williams and Roger Scoresby, the only players who won 2 Triple Crowns.
Number
Triple Crown
9,
has only been accomplished
the second
13
baseman,
times in history by 11 different
Easley.
players. Ted Williams in 1942 and 47, but the MVPs those years were Joe Gordon and Joe DiMaggio. Ted did not win the MVP in 41 either, when DiMaggio hit in 56 consecutive games. Ironically, Jerry, during Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, during those 56 games, Ted Williams had a higher batting average than DiMaggio, 412 to 408.
Ted was not real popular with the media, and I think that cost him some votes for MVP on occasion.
In fact, Ted Williams' longest career hitting streak was 23 games. His streak started on the same night as DiMaggio's, as Easley gets plunked for the second time today. He was hit by Martinez in the first inning, and now by Haney in the 8th.
Haney shaking his head, obviously, in an 8-0 ball game. No reason at all. There's nothing that's transpired in this ball game for anybody
Number
to be hit
25,
intentionally.
the right fielder, Robert.
So imagine that, DiMaggio and Williams both starting their streaks on the same night. Ted's ends after 23 games. DiMaggio's goes another 33.
Unbelievable. That's a record I just don't think will ever be broken.
Luis Castillo of the Marlins, 35-game hitting streak this year. Getting back to the Triple Crown winners, the first man to ever win a Triple Crown played for the Tigers, Ty Cobb, back in 1909. First ever Triple Crown winner. The last ever Triple Crown winner was Yaz, 1967.
That was the magical year here in Boston that really got the fans back interested in the Red Sox. I mean, prior to 67, you could walk up here day of game and get a great seat in this ballpark. But that magical team in 67 and the tremendous year by Carl Yastrzemski really brought baseball back in a big way.
The last Red Sox World Series championship, 1918. Ted Williams was born 12 days before the Red Sox won the 1918 World Series. 12 days before. The 1-2 from Haney to Fick. Tigers All-Star reaches out and flies out to Ramirez for the second out of the inning. Did Manny think it was the third out?
Looked like Manny was heading back into the Red Sox dugout, but quickly turns around and heads back to left field. They need 3 in this league.
Yeah, you talked about Ted Williams and how you always had to have the perfect answer in conversations with Ted. Nomar said the same thing. Garciaparra said yesterday his first conversation with Ted lasted 45 minutes. They talked all about hitting. Ted asked numerous questions, what Nomar thinks in certain situations at the plate, and right before Ted Williams hung up, he said to Nomar, you answered all of them right. Nelson to Maloney. Middle of the 8th. We take it a commercial by looking back. Fenway, 1999 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Midas Total Car Care. Midas, we do that. By Dr. Scholl's, look, feel, do better. By the totally new 2003 Ford Expedition, no boundaries. And by Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. Doug Mirabelli leading off for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the 8th inning against Jose Lima, the third Tigers pitcher of the day. Mirabelli extended the Red Sox lead from 2-0 to 5-0 when he homered over the Green Monster way back in the first inning. Red Sox 2 home runs today, now 84 on the season, 8th in the American League. Ted Williams hit 248 career home runs here at Fenway of his 521. When he retired, Jerry, he was 3rd on the all-time list, behind only Babe Ruth and Jimmy Fox. He is now tied for 12th.
The reasons the bullpens were put in right field here at Fenway Park were because of Ted Williams. Make it a little bit shorter out there, still very deep.
Mirabelli goes down on strikes. First strikeout for Jose Lima.
All these bullpens here were put in at Fenway Park because of the left-handed power of Ted Williams and brought those fences into 380. As you can see right here, but it was much deeper than that before the bullpens.
Ted hit a career-high 43 home runs during the 1949 season. A year in which he also drove in 159 runs. Trot Nixon homered in the 4th, a solo shot. Ted spent 4 years as a manager. He was American League Manager of the Year with the Washington Senators in 1969, his first season. And spent 3 more years with the Senators / Texas Rangers. Lombard makes the catch in left field to retire Nixon. His last season as a manager, 1972, replaced in Texas by Whitey Herzog.
Ted had to be a tough guy to play for. He was a perfectionist. I can imagine having him as a manager. That had to be awful rough.
I spoke with Johnny Pesky earlier. Johnny managed the Red Sox 1963 and 1964. Now a special assignment instructor, wearing the uniform again today. Sat in the dugout during last night's game.
Yeah, that was a nice touch last night by the Red Sox to allow Johnny to sit in the dugout on a day that was very emotional for him. And that's where he's most comfortable, around the players and in the dugout.
Two now on Lou Merlone. Johnny Pesky mentioned Dom DiMaggio when he was with us earlier today. Dom DiMaggio said Ted was like a brother to me. Bottom of the 8th inning. 2 away. The 2-2. Got him with the curve. Maloney called out on strikes. Second strikeout of the inning for Lima. We head to the 9th from Fenway. All Red Sox. A view outside Fenway. 32,458 in the ballpark this afternoon. 34th sellout of the season here. 4th Red Sox pitcher of the day, Willie Banks. His 12th appearance.
Started the season with the Red Sox, was sent to AAA, now back with the big league team and working in his 12th appearance, as you mentioned. The last outing was in that day-night doubleheader they had here early in the week in that tremendous heat that we had here on the East Coast.
Alan Embry saved both of those games for the Red Sox. The sweep of the Blue Jays. Red Sox started the day 2 games behind the Yankees in the AL East. Yankees and Blue Jays will get underway about 15 minutes from now at Yankee Stadium. Old Timers Day in the Bronx. Andy Pettit will start for the Yankees against Steve Parris. And then Jeff Weaver will make his Yankee debut tomorrow in the series finale. 3-1 now on Wendell McGee. McGee 0 for 3 in this afternoon's game. Called off the plate. The count is now full.
Wendell a little impatient there on the 3-1 count. Looks like he chased maybe ball 4.
Well, as we talked about, Tigers do not walk very often. Although they have 3 base on balls today. Inns walked twice. And then Jackson in the 7th. Well above their average.
Tiger fans are going to have to be patient for a while as he try to rebuild the franchise, rebuild the major league team. They've already taken some steps in that direction. There'll be more to come. Louis Pujols, of course, taking over for Phil Gardner. Felipe Alou, the bench coach now for the Tigers.
How much more patience can, there's Felipe. How much more patience can the Tigers ask for? They've had 8 consecutive losing years.
Well, they have a good hockey team in town that keeps the interest high.
Luis Pujols held the Stanley Cup over his head recently. The Cup visited the Tigers clubhouse. Another foul off the bat of Wendell McGee. Same ownership, Mike Ilitch owning both the Red Wings and the Tigers.
Well, they made the bold move in the offseason to bring Dombrowski to Detroit to try to get this thing turned around, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a long process.
Into shallow center. Coming out to make the catch is Johnny Damon. Damon, one of 6 Red Sox who will be heading to Milwaukee for the All-Star game on Tuesday. There's Manny Ramirez, Shea Hillenbrand, a first-time All-Star. Mookie Urbina. Of course, Nomar Garciaparra, Johnny Damon. And will Derek Lowe be named the starter by Joe Torre? Robert Fick, the only Tigers All-Star. Pedro Martinez named to the team, but declined the invitation, replaced by Urbina. The All-Star game this Tuesday night on Fox. The last time, Jerry, the Red Sox sent 6 to the All-Star game. They actually sent 7 back in 1978. And you were one of those 7.
Please don't ask me the rest of them. I know Fisk was there. I know Yastrzemski was there. Dwight Evans. Yastrzemski, I mentioned already. Jim Rice.
Well, more importantly, you told me before the game, it was your only All-Star game in San Diego, and Billy Martin was going to save you for extra innings, so you never got into the game.
No, it was a close game, and he came down, he apologized, said, look, we're going to need some people if this goes extra innings. I said, Billy, don't worry about it. I'm just happy to be here.
How did you really feel?
That's how I really felt. If you get in, you get in. If not, you're still an All-Star. They don't take it away from you. It seems like in today's All-Star games, managers make a much better effort to get everyone into the ball game. That wasn't the case years ago.
Number 15.
Well, usually the managers have to save 1 or 2 pitchers for the reason you were talking about. In case the game goes into extra innings, you do not want to extend anybody else's pitchers.
Right. They really make an effort, though, to get all the position players into the game for at least 1 at bat.
Here's Brandon Inge. Big question for Joe Torre. Will he play Alfonso Soriano at second base for the entire game, or move one of those 5 shortstops over?
Seemed like the most logical choice to move over might be Vizquel.
And Joe had an interesting comment about the 5 shortstops. He said if they all played in separate eras, they would all be the best of that era at shortstop.
Position is loaded in the American League.
Willie Banks, 1 strike away. Major League leading 11th shutout of the season for the Red Sox. Pedro Martinez has started 5 of those 11 games. Willie Banks finishing things off with the 10th Red Sox strikeout of the afternoon. Pedro Martinez, the winner. He is now 11-2. Mike Maroth, who allowed 5 first-inning runs, drops to 1-3. Tigers' 3-game win streak comes to an end. Red Sox have won 6 of their last 7. Gary Lotriman, great feat of the game.
8 strikeouts by Pedro Martinez in the game today. Early in the ball game, a lot of curveballs for strikeouts and also a changeup. That's the changeup. The later we got into the ball game, more fastballs. And that's the final one.
He knew he was leaving the game after that.